Egypt has digitally unwrapped the mummy of famed Pharaoh Amenhotep I, revealing its secrets for the first time since the mummy was discovered in 1881 without disturbing his funerary mask. According to the research, the pharaoh was circumcised and his teeth also in good condition. Joining us now to talk more about it is Egyptologist Dr. Galit Aviya Ben Tovel, author of The Messiah Code. And welcome to the show. It's good to see you again, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. Great to be here again.
And this is very exciting. I mean, a lot has happened since we saw you last time in the studio. If you could explain to us, the findings, A, the technology to be able to kind of unravel what's inside, and B, to show a circumcision. What does this imply from your experience as an Egyptologist studying this region in this era?
So first of all, I think this is great that with technology today, we can unveil more and more information about really what happened in Egypt in those times. But I would say that circumcision in Egypt was a tradition that started even before the time of Amenhotep I, which is the king that we are talking about, that was circumcised. It even started, we have the earliest evidence for circumcision in Egypt 1,000 years even before that, which is in the Old Kingdom. We have the earliest in the 5th dynasty, around 2500 BC, and also in the 6th dynasty, and maybe even in the 8th dynasty. Now, we have to say that circumcision, as we see it in the wall paintings of the Old Kingdom, we see mostly not for kids, but we see mostly for adult men. And if we are talking about the technique, apparently it looks like the same one that we are doing it till today. And another interesting thing about it is to understand why circumcision happened in Egypt. So maybe we have even a new explanation about what and from where this tradition started. So apparently, in the Old Kingdom, circumcision was among the one who were against cannibalism in Egypt. And I want to say a bit about it. There was a custom that was not widespread in all Egypt, but we are talking about a very polytheistic society. Different groups believed in different gods. And there was a group of gods and kings who actually asked from the inhabitants of Egypt to sacrifice their kids. Sacrificing children, we see it also in the Bible. There is also a connection to Judaism when the Bible and all the prophets of the Bible are really against what is happening with the god of Baal and the Molech, which are asking actually from the people to sacrifice their kids and to sacrifice even their eldest. Now, interesting that in Egypt, the group of people who were against this custom, against this tradition, used to sacrifice themselves. If you want, the sacrifice is a way to say, or to give a part of your child, and not to give your whole child to this God. So even in the story of sacrifice of Isaac, we are talking about the same motive. Okay, when God asked from Abraham to sacrifice his child, and it's another question, which God really asked him? We know that in other tradition, even in Judaism, that they're saying it's not the God, maybe it's the other side. Okay, maybe it's the Baal, maybe it's the Molech, the one who actually cherished death and not cherished life. So if you want, the circumcision is actually a protection to protect the kids from this awful, I would say, tradition of slaying the kids and even slaying the eldest.
Wow.
We have
definitely adds yeah. Sorry, I just want to ask. So, are you saying that this particular pharaoh was connected in the same timeline as the time that Moses lived? Like, put the context of the history. Was Moses alive during the time of this pharaoh? You do believe?
Yes, I do believe that, first of all, they were part of the same dynasty. I believe that Moses was part of the 18th dynasty. And the one who came right after Ahmose, which I believe is Moses, is Amenhotep I, which is the mummy that we are talking about. This is a very special dynasty in Egypt because they created, I would say, revolution in the religion. They are talking about cherishing life. They are talking about believing in one God, which also Akhenaton is actually the last king of this dynasty that really brings it out. So imagine that you are in an Egyptian society, polytheistic, different gods, different tradition, and here is a group that believe in life, cherishing life, protecting self from all this awful cannibalism that also was part of this polytheistic society, and comes against it. Now, I have to say that the earliest time that the cannibalism happened in Egypt was only in the Old Kingdom. We cannot even see the same stories about eating people and eating kids later on in the New Kingdom. So there was a revolution in the ancient Egyptian society, moving from cannibalism, okay, to cherishing life, especially in the glory of the 18th dynasty. By the way, it's very interesting because it's also connected to the custom, to the ancient Egyptian custom of not eating pigs. Now, interesting. Not all the groups in ancient Egypt ate pigs. Some of them decided not to eat pigs. The one who ate pigs, okay, were also part of the same tradition of cannibalism, but the one who decided not to eat pigs, it's interesting. One of the explanations of why not to eat pigs, because pigs in themselves, they have also in their DNA and in their custom, they have the ability to eat their own piglet. So this group that believe in cherishing life also got to themselves custom and tradition and avoided to eat anything that could even, remind them this awful tradition of eating kids.
Let me ask you one last question. Do you think there is a link to these customs, as we're saying, because of the Jewish people that were there from the time of Joseph? I mean, does this harken back to the influence you think that Joseph had, prior to this dynasty?
So I would say that I think this is an ancient tradition. I think this tradition was always, if we're talking about the tradition of sacrificing kids, but I think that what happened with Abraham, okay, Abraham came to Egypt in around, we believe, around 12th dynasty, okay? The custom of cannibalism started 1,800 even years even before that. So it could be that Abraham brought his belief together with the tribes who came after him to Egypt, to this belief, to the Egyptian. It could be that this group slowly created, if you want, inside the ancient Egyptian society, a strong belief of not doing it. But definitely it happened it created a change and a revolution in the ancient Egyptian society. I have to say that sacrificing kids was not abolished, never, in the ancient Egyptian society, but we can see that in some period we see it more, and in a later period we see it less. We have one text from a pharaoh by the name of Unas, that's really speaking. I can read if you want a few lines of it. We're
gonna have to do a follow-up on this, because this is so incredibly interesting, because unfortunately we're out of time. I could go on and on with you, so I think we'll have to follow up and do another segment and get into the whole moon component, moon and sun component at a future date too. Thank you so much for very, very interesting explanation of this story.
Always a pleasure to be with you.